Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another interview and discussion on the team development. And we're here with Ganesh, our HR expert on the topic. Hi, Ganesh. Thanks again for joining
Hey,
us.
my pleasure.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So we are continuing our discussion on the Tuckman ladder and the practices and the games that we can actually work with our team during the different stages of the Tuckman team development. And we finished discussing the storming last time, and we are into our norming stage. And how do you apply them?
Okay. Well, this is an interesting phase. You've got people who are first trying to find a spot for themselves within the team, within the group. Let me just say that have finished all of that. They've, come up that hump and now are understanding each other as a team and look at each other as a team. And this timing is perfect for people to start looking at a couple of things. And one of them is to understand what skills do we as a team carry with us. So if we have to be solving problems, which might be complex in nature or might be simple, whatever the case might be, but this is the time where you start talking about skills that they might have and documenting all those things. Once we get through with understanding the skills, then you start talking about intrinsic and extrinsic motivators that impact the way you perceive different situations that you would face as an individual and then also as a team. So it's important that everyone understands what's most important for my teammate, my colleague, and how can I ensure that there's that mutual respect and that mutual understanding amongst the team. So you're able to ensure that everyone stays motivated. They're doing things that, give enough dopamine for everyone to continue working what they want to work and things of that sort. After you finish doing all that is when you want to bring in what's called the celebration grid. And this is excellent because one, it tells you how you need to think as a team, the mindset you need to carry, and it's a good way to develop a learning mindset tool that they can use in their retrospectives while they're trying to learn as to what's working, what's not working.
That's great because, again, as we talked about last time when we were talking about storming, a lot of the reason most people get into that storming phase is because they have some prejudgment about how they think about the situations and how they
Yeah.
perceive the different events and tasks that are in hand. And when they are faced with new team members and people that come to their team, they might feel threatened, they might feel undermined, they might have different objectives and agendas. Now there's no new person that might be
Right.
either stopping them from their growth or what they were thinking that there is their career path. And now there's this new individual with new ideas and maybe better education or better knowledge or better experience. And they get these kind of conflicts to kind of show that, no, this is my territory. This is how I can dominate the discussions, or this is how I can
Right.
move or push the agenda for the team. And then that's when the storming keeps happening. But then one of the tools that I found to be effective and very good is the competency tool that you just mentioned, where the facilitator or the HR or the people that hired these people and put them together, or the decision makers that said, we need this extra competency around here to come and help the
Yeah.
team, or we
Yeah.
think this is a good fit for you guys because you're working, for example, very good in the construction or in the project or in the activity at hand. However, you need a marketing guy, or you need somebody with IT
Yeah.
information, or so they bring somebody with a certain skills and
Mhm.
certain maybe perspective on things and how they handle the or make decisions or whatever. And that's when people get into the storm, is like, no, I knew this, or I could have done it. Why did we have to bring this person? Or no, this person needs to work under my kind of line management, and I have to tell
Mm.
them how to do this thing. They're not going to tell me how to do things. And they get
Yeah,
into these storms. So can you tell us how this competency thing works and how can we benefit from it?
sure. So trying to form cross-functional teams, and all of these people in the team would have different skill sets. Some, where they might be novice, some where they have intermediate skills, and some where they are experts. So what you do is, using the competency matrix, you call out who comes in with which kind of a skill. You document that, and then it allows you to understand what all skills exist within the team. Where are you going to be strong as a team, and where would you need additional help or support? So it visualizes the team's core strengths. We talk about this in the foundation workshop as well, where we talk about T-skilled people, where
Yes.
you have your core skills that you might be an expert in, but then you also bring in the breadth of other skill sets which allow you to be fungible while you're forming,
Yes, we
teams.
discussed that in class, where PMI also promotes
Mm,
this generalist specialist, meaning that
yeah,
we have general broad understanding of our maybe competency, and then we get into different areas where we become this T-shaped experts in a field, or maybe even comb shape
yeah.
where we have multiple teeth. And I found something very interesting on Management 3.0 the other day in their LinkedIn page as a post. It was a V shape. So it was saying that you need to kind of build those T-shaped kind of competency in the head, and then gradually come to that V shape. And the funny thing was the comments under it were, oh, we have W shape as well, and we have this shape and that shape, and people were getting very creative about it. And
Yeah,
the whole concept is what you just mentioned, is that once we know what are the competencies that we have, where do we need support, and how can we kind of support each other using
yeah,
this matrix, then we can identify, okay, we need some people like this image shows in bookkeeping, and we don't have that many support. We have only like one Sue that is working with a yellow competency. We really need another person with a green competency to be
right.
added to the team, so they can support Sue and lead this thing.
Yeah,
These motivators are the stuff that, to me, is like a lot of people don't even know that they have this thing in their core belief or core values. Or
right.
and the interesting part of it is that there are only 10 of them. Why is that?
Well, you can have more, but essentially these 10, well, they seem to be the ones that drive people the most. It, in a way, addresses a lot of the new generation, the way people work today. So it seems to work for today. Will it be valid tomorrow or in future? I don't know. Maybe it will change. It's got to do a lot with what our current mindset is, and this works for that.
Mhm. Because I always tell my kids, is like, anybody who comes to you and they tell you there's a free lunch, there's no free lunch. There's always three some hidden agenda. Try to
Right.
find what it is. Some people are after money, some people are after power, some people are after reputation and some kind of name for themselves or status.
Mm,
So I was always thinking about three, but the interesting thing about these is like we have 10 motivators, not just three that I was thinking. And you
yeah.
could probably fit those, some of these into the definition of these three.
Sure.
But for example, curiosity to me is an interesting motivator, because to me, a lot of this stuff, I'm a learning type person, like we mentioned, like in previously in our discussion about personalities and strengths. I'm curious person. So it's not like I have a different agenda or a hidden agenda. I'm like, let me learn more, or what can I learn more from this discussion, or how I can get it. Or for example, honor is a great value for a lot of us, and a
Mm,
motivator, but it might not be as strong when it comes to, for example, acceptance for some people, or for freedom for other people. And this
mm.
is the interesting about this. How do you play this thing with the team? Do you take turns and then they talk about it, or do you put the cards and then you talk about it? We did it in class. I just want to explain it for the audience.
Sure. No, there are different ways in which you can play this,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
if you're doing this for a team that's never done this before, what you want to do is you want to ask them to order this in a way, either from left to right or from right to left, based on what's most important for them. So what this does is it gets them thinking, because many times we don't spend time to see what's actually most important to us as a motivator. We don't do that. And once everyone's aligned their motivation cards, then you present a use case to them and ask them, okay, here's the situation. You are, I'm making this up as we speak, but let's say you are a person who has a team of 10, and tomorrow suddenly we take away that people responsibility and you become an individual contributor. What happens to these champ frogs? Which ones go up? Which ones go down? And that helps you understand how this either motivates or demotivates a team member. So with that understanding, you know that when you are setting up roles and responsibilities or distributing things as a group, someone might be interested in having people responsibilities, and someone might be, like you said, for them curiosity might be number one because they want to learn more. Imagine someone who's curious is put into an industrial kind of a process. There's no scope for you to do anything more. You come in, you clock in at 8 o'clock, clock out at 5, and it's the same thing you do every day. This person is going to be highly demotivated. So if you know that curiosity is number one for this person, you're not going to have this person work that kind of a
mhm.
job.
Right.
So uh,
Interesting.
it's
Mhm,
interesting, and
mhm,
I always tell everyone that
mhm,
this is not static. It
mhm,
changes and evolves based on where you are in life and
mhm,
what's most important to you, what variables have changed in your life, and
mhm,
these can move. So you might have started with, let's say, freedom, but then later on you
mhm,
say, oh, I don't need freedom anymore, I want mastery right now, or
mhm,
I think I need some order, I'm done with all
mhm,
this chaos. Could be
mhm,
anything, but that's the beauty about this. It's a good way for you to do some introspection and then see how that impacts you in a team environment. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see this is very related to people's personalities, their
Hmm.
experiences, how they
Yeah.
get energy to do things, how they make decisions based on those motivators. And this is a great tool because, like I said, that we discussed previous time on empathy and having an emotional intelligence on understanding people's personalities. If you know that you're working with a practical person, that order is important to them and is a
Mm.
motivator because they want to see order and they want to see mastery in those technical stuff, you need to give them that motivator so they can
Yeah.
perform better in the team.
Yeah.
And if you see somebody who's big on harmony and having relatedness and how they can work with each other in a very freedom kind of environment, if you don't
Mhm.
allow them that freedom, then they're gonna get hurt, or they're gonna feel bound, and sooner
Yeah.
or later either they burn out or they leave the team. So you're not gonna be able to retain all that experience and knowledge that they gained so in the team. So I can see how we can use this thing in different stages of the
Right.
team building.
Mhm.
However, at this stage, which is the norming phase, and we're trying to bring people's attention to their differences and their priorities and how they think differently, how they make decisions differently, and how they can fit together nicely as a team to
Yeah.
collaborate and work together. I think
Yeah.
this is where it's a tool for discussion. So like next one is celebration grid. Can you tell us about the celebration grid?
This is interesting. So, like I mentioned before, at the norming stage, the team has started to form. So there are a couple of things that we're doing to strengthen that team. One is from a skill standpoint, you've looked at what skills people have, you looked at everyone's motivators, and now you're looking at how the team needs to think as a unit. And the celebration grid is about ensuring you as a team have a learning mindset, and this is a great tool that you can use in your retrospectives to understand what kind of practices were best practices or experiments or bad practices that we have in the team. Now, some good practices or best practices might yield the result that you want, so you can celebrate those, but it's not necessary that, good practice can always or will always yield a good result. So there might be failures because of that. The issue is because it's a good practice, it's known, people don't tend to use that as an opportunity to learn something because it's a good practice. And obviously, if it's a bad practice, people might do something, they might make a mistake, and again, they don't learn. The probability of an organization using a bad practice as a learning opportunity is close to zero. I've not seen that happen. And those are not environments where you'll see teams evolve or mature in the way they develop products or they bring in innovation and things of that sort. Fun part is the one in the middle where the probability of you landing up with the right thing or the wrong thing is 50-50. So, if you succeed with your experiment, hooray, like kudos to you. You learned something, you tried something, and that fuels the innovation or that curiosity and everything else that you need, the creativity that you need to build a better product or a better service, whatever the case might be. And imagine you try this and you fail. It's okay, you learned something. This is not something you need to do. But the thing is, the celebration grid is about recognizing failures when you're experimenting with stuff, and then celebrating the learning that happens after you might fail, and then celebrating the success of having tried an experiment and that having worked. So that learning mindset work is it's best primed and works at this center stage over here, where you have when you learn to experiment. So that's why this is amazing. It helps you understand what practice.
This middle part, the experiments part, is the where we want to be, meaning that this tool is used usually during retrospective to say, okay, we finished the job, let's go and see what we learned in this kind of practice. And where you want to be 50-50, meaning that, okay, I'm learning this thing and I might succeed or I might fail, but both sides is a win-win for me. Why?
Right.
Because the experiment is not just a trial and error. It's a guided continuous improvement experience, meaning that we know a system, we know a practice. To be innovative and agile, it means that you need to experiment with new things. If you are operational, I can see the end of that spectrum where you want to be Six Sigma, no fault, no error, kind of 100% practice and perfect would work in a manufacturing setting or in an operational setting where everything is repeating. Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you have a team that is being developed, you're developing new ideas, maybe it's a knowledge area, maybe it's a project base, and your business in general. Do you want to add before we adjourn for tonight?
I think the one thing that I definitely want to call out which is important. So while this team has formed and everything, it's also good to talk about the 12 steps of happiness. I
Oh,
guess
good.
the harmony piece is something that flows really well over here. So it's not just about work, but you're also taking time out to do other things, to be thankful, to give back, to help people, to eat well, to exercise, and that makes you wholesome as a person. So you're
Yes.
looking at not just work, but you're looking at mental health, physical well-being. All of these are really important for you to make sure that you now take the team forward from norming to performing. So if you don't have all of this covered, you're not going to be able to move to that next step where you become a
Yes.
high-performing team. So uh,
Thank you. Thank
it's
you for
it's just
bringing that
important.
up.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
because that's the point of our wellness quality management kind of,
Mhm.
and if you've seen on the bottom here, we're adding new different topics and different articles.
Right.
So this happiness topic is the big one on emotional intelligence that we were talking with
Yeah.
Brent right now, and I'm glad that you brought up the discussion of the 12 steps of happiness, because to us happiness is a roadmap, and the emotional intelligence and self-awareness is where how you're going to achieve it. So that
Yeah.
was discussed actually with Brent, and we actually showed the same management
Oh, wow.
3.0.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you brought it up, because this is, we were talking about burnouts and the 12 stages of burnout, and then how the healing process starts, and it's a process that you need to work on it. So thank you very much. Appreciate it for bringing it up. As we always say, professional managers are happy people because they're in control, right?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, I'm very excited for next week when we're going to talk about the forming
Forming
and
stage,
adjourning
a
stage.
journey.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Thank you very much, Ganesh. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
All
Bye bye.
right.